So I'm really grateful to the ICO and also to APAO for having conferred me with this ICO Mark So Golden Apple Award named after Professor Mark So, who was a former ICO Director of Education. The ICO Golden Apple Award honors the most dedicated teacher of clinical ophthalmology in Asia Pacific region, and that's why I will talk more about the teacher. This is me. My affiliation has already been told by Namrata. The Argentinian proverb is, those who speak, they sow, and those who listen, they reap. So this is a very august gathering is there, and I hope the earlier two lectures, you must have reaped something from that. What is an oration? An oration is an introspection into what you have done. And what you have done, that is, if it is narrated, then it becomes an oration. And then the oration should be such that it should get the benefit to the audience, and it should inspire also. So that is what is oration. What is an ophthalmic education? The concept of ophthalmic education is, for that matter, any education, engaging with knowledge, which symbolizes a deep hands-on connection with learning. And it is an active interaction key. The other aspect is the educators. And by this I mean the teachers, the trainers, the professors, the lecturers, the assistant professors, the demonstrators, and everything is included here. And then understanding the spirituality, the philosophy of teaching. What is the philosophy of teaching? The philosophy of teaching is to give. A teacher has to give. He doesn't have to take. He has to update his knowledge, and he has to give. That is the philosophy of teaching, and which represents the wisdom, the enlightenment, or the guidance. Something like, if somebody touches, something like Midas touch. You know Midas touch? Midas, there was a king in the Greece, and the king, if whatever he will touch, will become a gold. So that is the touch should be with the teachers. And teaching, whether it is an ophthalmic teaching or education or any education, it is a tripolar process. And by this I mean, one pole is teacher, the second pole is the student, and the third pole is the institution. And I was lucky to have a very good institution, that is RP Center for Ophthalmic Sciences. I'll talk about that later. And also, I had a very enlightened students also. So that way, I was lucky. So who is a good teacher? Who has got a passion for teaching? Teaching is not something, you can acquire. Teaching is something which comes from inside, which is innate quality. And the teacher is one who has empathy, who empathizes, sympathizes with the student. He understands his student. He adapts to the requirement of the audience. If I'm teaching an undergraduate, I should talk at that level. If I'm teaching a postgraduate, I should talk at that level. So adaptability should be there. And the communication skill should have some good communication skill. And encourage critical thinking. If I tell something, it should irritate your, the gray matter of the audience. And he should lead by example. He should be an example to others, then only they will follow you. Build the relationship. There should be a relationship between the student and the residents. And, if somebody says that I know everything, so that is not possible. Knowledge is something which is dynamic. you have to update your knowledge. You have to be a lifelong learner. And last but not least is the self-assessment. When I take the classes, I always think what I have given to the student. When I go back home, I keep on thinking that what I should have given and what I have given. So if there is any disparity or not. So self-assessment is most important. Now I'll put myself in the testing zone. And what I have done, I was president of National Board just now, Namrata said, and lots of things I did, lots of things, big reforms I did. Screening test for foreign medical graduate. First time I started in India. Examiner orientation program. Means the examiner who are going to examine, their knowledge should be updated. Updated the accreditation standard. And I was also chairman of postgraduate committee in Medical Council of India. And then many other things which he started. I was in several universities. I was in Gonzalo as a visiting professor, in Toronto, and also in Texas Medical School. Several societies. I was chair, speaker, visiting professor, guest lecturer. Invited lecturer, I delivered courses, workshops, so on and so forth. Now I'm chair of the Ophthalmic Education Committee. I was a member on ICO committee on subspecialty education and certification. I'll tell you something here very important, and that is that for the first time in the world, we started the certification for subspecialists, and that is by All India Ophthalmological Society Collegium, what you call as a FAICO. And this was, you know, we had a small collaboration, kind of what you call as a test certification with the ICO for 2 years. I'm basically a retinal surgeon. And my journey started with buckling surgery, and those days only buckling surgery was done. We did so many of buckling surgery, you know. Redo surgery, again redo surgery, put one buckle, then posteriorly one buckle, another posterior buckle. By that time, the vitrectomy hadn't come, and we published these papers. I devised a modified needle drainage, a very simple technique, and just go to the sclera and go inside, and when the fluid comes out in the hub of the needle, and then we draw it. So no cost. Laser came somewhere between 1977 and 84, and we were the first few, maybe 2-3 places in India, and we had argon laser. A lot of these argon laser we did. Vitreous surgery we started in 84, and microscope was in use, and the primitive machines were there. And of course, when you start, you are a novice surgeon, and we published some papers. And then between 1990 and 94, something very, interesting came in my professional life, and I, moved to what? My passion, that is retinopathy of prematurity. And this was the status. 86% babies were referred by ophthalmologists, 8.7% babies referred by pediatricians. Correct diagnosis only by ophthalmologists, 4.3%. You can imagine the awareness among the ophthalmologists. And metropolitan city like Delhi shared out of all the data, 30% of these problems. And 91.3% of the babies were visibly blind. This moved me, and I took up this subject as a passion. We did a lot of these awareness programs with National Program for Control of Blindness, and also with WHO. And we had devised a concept of paired workshop where we'll have neonatologists also and ophthalmologists also. We had some more of these workshops. And the Site Saver workshop, 17 workshops in collaboration with Site Savers India from 2008 to 2012 in various cities of India. And we must have made aware more than 700, maybe 1,000 ophthalmologists at that particular time. And then, during this period, I established the screening and management protocol for retinopathy of prematurity at Dr. R.P. Center. So what I say, that if you are a teacher or if you are a trainer, you must give something to the society. You must something to your student. You must give something to the institution. So we established it there. And I also set up this ROP, Modern VR Surgery Unit in Kuwait. I was there from 1994 to 1988. And during this period, I said, and so many premature children, we examined there. This was not part of my work. I tell you, the working hour in Kuwait is from 7 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And after 2 o'clock, I was free. So I thought, what should I do? So I started doing screening in the afternoon. So that is that. And we made a lot of these publications, intervention at pre-threshold stage of retinopathy of prematurity, regression of retinopathy of prematurity, and all this. And from paper we published from Kuwait also, now the center is known as Al-Bahar Center for Ophthalmic Sciences. And then I promoted ROP in our country. I formed the Indian ROP Society, which is still going from 2016. And then we had a World ROP meeting, 2009 we had in New Delhi, 12 in Shanghai, 23, B in between we had in Cancun, World ROP, and in Dubai 2023. I joined RP Center as a junior resident in 1974, and I left RP Center, took voluntary retirement, maybe 2 years earlier. Nobody will do that. And I did this for a greater cause, for the social service, and my obligation to the society, and my obligation to my state. And the whole period is how much? From 1974 to 2014 is almost 40 years. So I gave my prime of life to RP Center. And RP Center also gave me a lot of things, not that I just gave. What I am today is because of that. And because of the few of my teachers like Professor L.P. Agarwal, who was there, whose brain was like a computer. He knew if you enter his room, he'll know who is this guy coming and for what he's coming. Professor Madan Mohan, Professor Tiwari, who was my friend, philosopher and guide, and many other people, who was with me, my friends. So as I told you in the beginning, you have to have the, education is a tripolar process. One is the teacher. I have told you about the teacher and put myself there. And then is the institution, and this is the institution, and many other institutions are there, not this one only. I can only tell you this much, that in 1974, way back in 1974, we had the subspecialty. We had uvea, we had retina, we have cornea, we had glaucoma. I don't think anywhere in India it was there. So that was the kind. We used to use Hochstreit slit lamp those days, Hochstreit slit lamp, you can understand. So most of the things we had during that time. And A lot of research is being done, that those days, and now it is also being done. We are also into developing the postgraduate education, in capacity building, in development of new techniques and technology. Lots of our friends are there, and the center is developing lots of new techniques. And those days we had an eye bank which was established, including corneal grafting and tissue transplantation. I think there is a video, I think. Can you increase the volume?
Audio is there, so can you put the lead of the audio?
इसका वॉल्यूम बढ़ा दो.
A cap and care. The center is a constituent ophthalmic services unit of the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. RP Center is spread across a standalone 7-floor building as 300-bedded facility catering to a footfall of more than 5 lakh patients per year. The center has the largest ophthalmic residency training program in the world, with over 250 ophthalmology residents training in basic and advanced ophthalmology, with 47 faculties.
I think you will keep the time, that is very important. So, I think I didn't talk anything about the student. And I'm very proud to tell you that many of my students, they are abroad and they are consultant in their own hospital. And I had the privilege to guide more than 70 postgraduate students, which I'm still doing now, for research projects. I was examiner to many universities in India and abroad. And my clinical area of interest, as I told you, is retinopathy of prematurity. My clinical experience, I've screened so many babies and so many training centers I supported. And we have Indian ROP Society where we are offering all kind of help and all kind of support to plan and to work further in this particular area. And training of ophthalmologist. This is already, Namarta has told you about my, the publications and the H-index, published 12 books. First book I presented, published on retinopathy of prematurity, Atlas. And then there is a textbook also of retinopathy of prematurity. First book of Atlas, maybe the first one in the world. This is my father and my mother. They are above. I thank them. And last but not least, my wife, and who bears most of the brunt because I am mostly out and she is at home, and she is responsible for bringing up my child, although they are now very big. I mean, my son is also a retinal surgeon, my daughter is in Singapore, but then is all because of my wife, and which gives me a lot of time. Each one of us has own story to tell, and some are good to buy and the others are good to sell. And what is a success? Success is happiness, less and less. Thank you very much for your kind attention.